My mission and passion is to walk alongside battle angels or people that have survived trauma in taking their next step in healing, whatever that means. The full surrender is sometimes really scary, really uncomfortable, and really disruptive to the comfort zone that so many of us live in, right? And it's
Yes.
in we can't stand on a foundation of the things that have happened to us and still until we work through them, until we stop being in survival mode and we step into healing mode. I was born and raised in a religious cult where I was physically, emotionally, sexually, spiritually, verbally abused severely in those first 26 years. I have the tools, I have the vulnerability to be able to ask for help, and I understand that that is not a weakness, that is actually a superpower. Stop. That is trauma. And this is why it is trauma. So, our nervous system doesn't know if we have been beaten within inches of our lives, like I have, or if our parents got divorced. Our nervous system, trauma is trauma. It does not know the difference.
Someone recently said to me that trauma was anything that changes the way that you look at the world. And
For yourself. I was like, I'm leaving the cult in the past. I'm never going to think about it again. I'm burying it deep under the rocks of like I'm chaining it to the ocean and I'm walking away and starting a new life. And nobody's ever going to know about that part of my life. I started having lack of focus. I started having not suicidal tendencies, but more of like self deprecating, self harm, like just God kill me, take me out of this misery. Not a single provider, a specialist of any kind said, your trauma is your problem. You have not dealt with your trauma. Nobody said that. Trauma is stored on a cellular level in your body. And I was like, what? I'm sorry. Huh? No, like nobody had ever said this.
it's interesting because, again, it goes down to this awareness and not necessarily self-awareness here, but most of us don't recognize that trauma lives in our body. Most of us think that what's going on with our body is just
Happenstance. Anybody could offer me that would fix my trauma, right? There was no pill for that. But everybody wanted me to give me a pill to fix whatever the symptom was. It was not going to address the problem. It was going to be a band aid. It was going to numb me. It was going to whatever, but none of that was going to fix the problem. I got to go in. And that's some hard work, but it was worth it. And it took a long time to unravel 26 years. And then you have to unravel also the running for an additional 6 years.
healing is every level that you get to, you are exposed to new triggers. But what I loved about what you said is that vulnerability piece. I think, particularly with women, we
Yeah.
have a very hard time being vulnerable after trauma.
When I realized that vulnerability was actually a superpower and not a weakness, because just like you said, right, if I could make it through all the things that I had made it through with my trauma, like how am I going to be weak in this moment when I should be happily married and I should be experiencing the best parts of my life, but I'm falling apart, right?
But what happens with the compartmentalization is that if we aren't actively working on that, it becomes this dust bunny under the rug,
Yep.
and it just
Yep.
grows and
Yep.
grows, and then all the only option you have is falling because it's impossible to climb over.
This is going to be like the big black shadow that follows me everywhere I go, and I'm chained to it until I set it free. I'm not going to find my answers there. And what we don't understand is that our nervous system gets stuck where our first trauma began. And so we cannot like rev the engine and just spin the tires and get out of that stuck until we address it.
Going to talk therapy with people who aren't trauma informed, you can't help me. You can't help me. I left a relationship that almost killed me thinking, my life is just can snap back to normal. And it didn't.
We take our trauma, our childhood trauma, into our adulthood. And then we do things with our children that may not serve them. And we pass on that generational curse.
Trauma can be passed on up to 8 generations. And if we aren't working on actively healing that, we're just throwing it into the next generation for them to deal with.
You are not your trauma. It does not have to define you, but it is a choice whether you decide to heal from it. It is a choice.
Healing is a choice, you guys, and the reason why we're here is to help you make a good decision about your trauma.